What's up, everybody? Welcome to Give and Take, episode number 3. We're here. We're happy. We're taking care of kids. You know how it is. Sometimes you just gotta take care of kids. Just ask TCG Talk. He knows all about that. Here at Give and Take, if you don't know the format of the show, I'm gonna fire off. I'm gonna give some takes to these guys, some topics, and I'm gonna ask for their hottest of takes. If I like that take, they get points. If I dislike that take, they might lose points. Who knows? I don't know. I'm feeling very generous today. I've played a lot of Fab today. My brain is literal mush after trying to figure out format after format after format. So I may just give points out willy-nilly. I'm not so sure. But on this side, we have the man, the myth, the guy taking care of his children. It's Breezy. What's up, man?
What up? That's what I've been up to.
Hey, you and me both. My kids are both sick. My 2 oldest are both sick. So today was like play Flesh and Blood and take care of sick kids. And my wife did most of the taking care of sick kids. So it was a weird day all around.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're all sleeping as much as I love them all.
Yeah, I feel that. And on this side, we've got none other than TCG Talk, the ninja main himself, but also likes Ranger and also likes Assassin. And who else do you also like Illusionist now too, right?
I've been trying to play Illusionist.
All right, you got a lot of likes, man.
I know.
That's the way to do it.
He's a KO main now.
Oh, that's right.
KO's fun today. Yeah.
Yep, that's a thing that we could talk about. In fact, we saw KO be unleashed upon the arena a couple of days ago, so we can hack that out as well. But we have a lot of topics actually to cover today because we are doing a retrospective of the year of 2023 in Flesh and Blood. So I think we just need to fire pretty fast and furious to get some topics out there. What do y'all think?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's jump into the first topic. And the first topic is this one. We had 3 sets in 2023, 3 new sets, and those sets were a variety of different types of experiences of opening. We had Outsiders, which was a big, huge draftable set with a bunch of different classes, a bunch of different heroes. It was very focused on the sort of new player intro experience and drafting and things like that. And then after that, after a couple of months, we had Dusk Till Dawn, which was a supplemental set in name, but it actually turned out to be more of like a thematic set, telling the story of the battle between the light and the shadow, because it featured mostly light and shadow cards. And then finally, we ended the year on Bright Lights, an all-mechanologist draftable set that did a lot to boost mechanologist and introduce a couple new heroes, but it also gave us a couple of powerful cards in the brand new expansion slots. So, my question to you both, starting with Breezy, which do you think was the best set in 2023, in your opinion? Lay it on us.
Yeah, this is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I share this opinion with a lot of other people. I would just, throw that out there. I'm gonna say I really enjoyed Outsiders. So right in here, just looking at this, right, there's 2 draftable sets. And so if I was to weigh draftable versus draftable, I just really liked thematic, the pits, the nasty, the gnarly, I don't know, and that's kind of what drew me to the game in the first place, was like the Arcane Rising set had kind of that darker kind of side of things, and so this kind of had a little bit of a drawback, of a throwback, I guess you could say, to, hey, we've been to Aria, we've been to the playful, bright, fun sides of things, and it's not all fun and games, just so everyone knows. And also Assassin. I mean, Arachne was really cool when we first saw him, but I think Yuzuri really just like grabbed the attention of people who were like on the fence of like, is Assassin cool? Is it not? Is it viable or not? And Yuzuri, and just the way that her mechanics work, just really, really sold that set for me. And I think even now, like Riptide was at one point was kind of like a meh hero. And I think now, I mean, I've gotten kind of blazed on by a couple Riptides in some lobbies on Talishar before. And so he's not to be undermined. And I think even moving forward, he's kind of a good, solid, like future-proof. Here's where Rangers have the capacity to go. So I really loved Outsiders for that reason, for those reasons, I guess.
I love that, and I gave you an extra point for bringing up Arcane Rising, because it feels very much like Arcane Rising when you think about those two sets. There's a couple of crossovers in classes, but it's also like both of those were very gritty, very similar to the first set as well, WTR. So totally agree. But what do you think, TCG Talk? Are you big on Outsiders, or did something else stick out to you this year?
No, yeah, it was Outsiders. I think me and Parker are gonna be really similar on this. I think with Outsiders, I think people were kind of starving for what the original feeling of Flesh and Blood was, like like the kind of fantasy vibe, but also a little bit grittier, kind of like the old, even Walk on Wraith. Like all of them kind of had that general aesthetic, and I think Outsiders matched it.
Mm-hmm.
I think also Outsiders, like I'm getting a little bit more businessy than player side, but like just from how they promoted the set and how they built it up and how they did like all the different kind of similar to how they're doing right now with heavy hitters, how they did the hero reveals, like with you and like other people. And just there was a lot of hype around the set, even if you weren't buying into it. And I think it was drastically different from Dusk Till Dawn and Bright Lights. I think Bright Lights was good as well, but I think Outsiders also benefited from the fact of there's a lot of new in that set, whereas Dusk Till Dawn and Bright Lights, and I'm not saying this negatively, were kind of a let's get back to center from the old versions. Like Dusk Till Dawn was what they wanted Monarch to be, basically, from power level, and Bright Lights is kind of like a watered down version of like what Mechanologists used to be. They were trying to power down those classes, I think, a little bit with those sets. So Outsiders kind of benefited from not really having chains in that perspective. But yeah, for me, it's definitely Outsiders.
You know what? I'll say this. I agree with both of you. I think I'm a big fan of Outsiders as a whole. Let me ask you this. What set do you think was your least favorite of this year? TCG Talk, you take it away first.
Oh Lord, I got in trouble during that time frame of this year. No, I'll dial it back a little bit. Dusk Till Dawn was my least favorite. Like you said at the beginning, it was a supplemental set, but it didn't feel like a supplemental set to me. There was a lot of cards in that set that hopefully one day they'll be useful. I really do. Like you never want to see a card that's not played. But there was a lot of set like anti-shadow with light and then anti-light with shadow cards, like you kind of saw with old school Monarch cards. And it just felt like a lot of the set was kind of like just not for me in terms of playability. And since it wasn't a draft set or it wasn't drafted, then you didn't even get the feeling of those cards in that aspect. So, but on the other side, it did have like the Angels, which are really awesome, and like they've gained in more popularity since then. So it's kind of a set that's slowly growing. Hopefully, it becomes like an Everfest in a couple of years, where like people like really go back to it and utilize it. But right now, it's Dusk Till Dawn for me.
That's a good connection, calling it a similar set to maybe like an Everfest. Got to give an extra point for that, because I agree in that respect. Maybe it gets revisited in the future. But what do you think, Breezy?
I'm going to disagree on this one just because I like Runeblades, and this was an introduction to Vin's set. And I think that she's going to have some future viability. I don't think they've done a really good job, at least in the forms of, Fab 2.0, of just saying, hey, these are heroes that are on the forefront. We're not going to forget about these heroes. So I think that they're going to really do everything they can, especially seeing what they've done with Prism, with the new Luminaris weapon, and how they're, paying attention to how some heroes might have underperformed, or certain cards are just kind of like not doing what they maybe had hoped for. So I've got high hopes for Dusk Till Dawn in that regard. So that being said, Bright Lights for me, I think I'm just not, and this is my opinion, I'm not a huge Mechanologist fan. I love the thematic, elements, the cyberpunky, futuristic things that Mechanologist, steampunk stuff that Mechanologist has to offer. But to have a one class set was a very bold move. And not to say that Mechanologist didn't need that much support, because they very much did. But I think if they had done like a talented Mechanologist, something that really would have spiced it up and said, this is why we did a one class set, because we've got all these things. It's just, it didn't feel like it had as many layers as it should. But that's because it was a one class set. And so hit or miss, I think this maybe missed a lot more than it hit for a lot of people. If you weren't interested in Mechanologist as a whole, then you probably didn't get this set. But even if you were, you're probably not really interested in every one of them. They all have different play styles and different mechanics to them. So, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me for those reasons.
I understand that. If I had to
Yeah.
give my own take, I am personally, I think the least excited about going back to Dusk Till Dawn just because I wanted when a supplemental set got announced, I was so excited because they're like my favorite type of set because I love sets that give a massive amount of like support and like different things to like classes so that you can try new things with those classes. And when it turned out to be just light versus shadow, like primarily, it introduced two new heroes and I play the heck out of those heroes. So I am excited about that. But I think what I wanted versus what it turned out to be gave me that sort of like emotional whiplash, and it made the initial experience outside of playing those two heroes like, oh man, I don't get anything for like wizard, or I don't get anything for like brute or any of these other classes that I wanted to jump into. So I probably had to put it there for the probably least exciting set for me. But I agree with Breezy, and I hope that it's one of those sets that kind of is gone back to and approached in a new light, because we get either more light and shadow kind of heroes, or we get more light and shadow support to tie those cards in, because then that would be a lot more fun. Though I will say Bolton did get a lot better, so maybe I'm just
Bolton.
maybe I'm just like, I don't know, emotionally wishing that we had that full on supplemental set experience.
And
That's
one
just me.
one other thing that it really solidified my Bright Lights not being my favorite set, or the least favorite set, is just the Marvels. The Marvels were just, look at the Marvels in Dusk Till Dawn
Yeah, that's
and
a good
compare them
point.
and compare them to Bright Lights. It just felt like,
Extra point for that, because I got to agree. The Marvels in Bright Lights pale in comparison to the Marvel Angels. But then again, it's Illusionist, and Illusionist gets all the pretty stuff. So it's unfortunate that way. But continuing on from that set, we have our best set picked out. But let's talk about a little bit more specific. Let's go best hero in 2023. This doesn't have to be a new hero. It can be. You could take it that way. Really, you could take this any way you want. But what is in your opinion, best hero from 2023? Is it Lexi because she was so dominant? Is it a new hero because you got to play her? Tell me what your take is, starting with Breezy.
well, I mean, we kind of like, we knew some of these questions would come up, so I approached them as new heroes released in 2023. So,
Okay.
but I can go both ways. I say Uzuri straight up. I mean, and I think I'd almost say that regardless. I think Lexi had like a breakout. I think if we had asked the question like who is the best breakout hero, it would definitely be Lexi. But best hero of, as far as like flavor, new mechanics that had never been really seen before, like the cool switcheroo with the stealth cards, really keeping you on your toes, kind of meets like Warrior damned if you do, damned if you don't, but also puts you in the bind of like decking out some of your cards, and just really, really, really fun hero. I think a lot of unexplored
Mm.
territory there as well. And her specialization, Shakedown, is so good. It's just like, even the artwork is just like your lunch money punk. So it's just everything about it. It looks so good, and I'm excited to see more lore involved. The Spider Clan, and like even how they got into infiltrate, the Emperor, and what the whole point of everything. I love Uzuri. I love the assassin class as a whole. So that's the answer there.
That's a solid answer. I'm a fan as well of picking Azure and just picking something that you like. But let's see,
Mm.
TCG Talk, are you in the same boat? Because you're a big assassin guy.
Yeah, no, Uziri's was like an obvious choice for me at first, but honestly, like after everything I've seen so far, and it's one that's probably not as popular with a lot of people, but Max to me was a hero from top to bottom that I really enjoyed.
Mm.
One, how it was revealed, like 3 floating, like that was one of the most fun hero reveals ever. I think Max is like a good mix of like in your head what you think like that world of metrics should be, but also like Flesh and Blood's version of it. I don't know. It's very interesting how they kind of hit like all the aesthetic, the lore, everything with that hero. The whole argument at first, was it going to be a mech or nitro mechanoid build? Was it not going to be? And I think that hero for me personally is still the most underexplored, or not, maybe not underexplored, might be the wrong word, underplayed hero of 2023. I think that hero is extremely good. It's just one of those heroes that like kind of has one thing going for it, but like a lot of people just kind of overrode it, and then everyone was, for Bright Lights, was kind of into Dash IO. It seemed like, but for me it was Max. I think Uziri definitely is a big one though, but I'd have to go with Max as my favorite for best hero 2023.
I like that. I underrate him as well. I think I should go back and play him more, and because I have Nitro Mechanoid, like I should jam a bunch of those games because I think he'd be really fun. So maybe that's what 2024 is for. Let me ask you this: we won't go worst hero because I feel like that's just a weird kind of headspace to get into.
Yeah.
What is your least enjoyed hero? What's the hero that you did not want to sit down to the table and play against? Maybe because it was bad, a bad matchup for your favorite deck, or maybe it was because, man, you're just going to get rolled. Which is the least favorite hero of 2023? Think about that while I give you my favorite hero of 2023. My favorite hero of 2023 was probably Dash.io because it just came out of the gate and just caught my attention really quick. I absolutely loved the item kind of like risk versus reward. Like, how many do you put in the deck? Is it going to pay you off in finding it? Which items do you include? How heavily do you lean into offense versus defense? I feel like it was such a fun puzzle to sit down and tinker with. And it's one that I feel like a lot of players are going to be able to like mess with going way far forward into the future. Super Mario Black Tiger says, rigged, Riptide was the best hero of 2023. You know what? Best hero reveal, maybe. That video. Did y'all see that video? That's a good hero. I'm just kidding. All right. So tell me, TCG Talk, what was your least favorite hero to either sit down at the table or go square up against this year?
Sit down at the table against that. It's really hard. So like, if I was gonna be funny, but I'm gonna lose 10 points to be Kano, but I don't play Kano enough to do that, so I will leave that where it lies. No, honestly, it's probably gonna be weird for people who know my channel, but I hate playing against Fi, and it has nothing to do with how good the hero is.
All right, I've got to give you multiple points for saying Fi. Thank you.
Fi is the most. I'm a ninja person, so I think I can say this. Fi is the most boring hero to play and the most boring hero to play against. I'm pretty sure I could blindfold myself and play that hero legally, and like 100%. So like, it's just that hero is not really enjoyable to me. It's very linear. I know there's people that love the hero and they love to go fast, they love the aggro nature, and that's totally fine. But like, if I'm not trying to be funny and say Kano, I actually probably would say Fi is like my. And I play Katsu, which I'm totally comfortable playing against the Fi. But yeah, that's just it kind of takes away from what like the elegance of what Katsu is. So maybe that's a little bit of bias there. But yeah, Fi for me is my least favorite hero to play against, but not because it's good, just because of how it feels to play into it.
That's a really good take. It takes away from the elegance of playing another ninja like Katsu. That's a really interesting way to think about that. You know what? In a lot of respects, I can totally see that. What do you think, Breezy? What is your least favorite?
Oh man, I don't know. This is tough. I play Viscerai, so we got a lot of bad matchups right now.
Icelander.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I think the obvious answer is Icelander, but I'll try not to keep digging a hole that's already so deep with like Icelander and Lexi and stuff. Honestly, I think it's gonna be Decimator Dory. I hate that deck so much, man.
I love that.
It's really annoying. It's one of those things where like you sit down, you're like, how long do we want to sit here? How long do we want this to go for? Because we can play the game of like, maybe I'm gonna get you, but we kind of already know. Unless I'm gonna have, I don't. Again, that's my hero. That's a skill issue. That's my heroes that don't do well into that deck list. I love that that deck was like discovered and tinkered around with, and people have made an axe work with Dory because I know the axes have been sitting there, and it's been printed on certain cards for a while now, and people are like, give us an axe, and so Decimator, it did its thing. It allowed itself to be playable, but man, it's just such an annoying deck. It's
one of those decks on Talishar where it's. I'm sorry, you're gonna.
No, go ahead.
I'm not allowed to lose points here. That deck.
This is still my turn.
Yeah, that deck and Kano are the two decks on Talishar where when I see them, I immediately open chat and I say, "Look, good luck to you. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna waste an hour in front of my computer playing against this deck." So how good luck? Like, it's just one of those decks I do that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's a meme kind of deck, but man, it puts in some work, and I don't like it.
I don't know. It's like a perfect pace card deck, right? If your deck can't beat that, are you playing it? Should you play it? It's like
right.
Good question.
Yeah.
And the
I don't
answer
know.
is no. I should not be playing this deck.
It's really interesting though, because that's a deck that could be quite good coming into the heavy hitters season, because we're going to be having some support for heavy hitters. We are going to talk about that a little bit later with some of the heroes that have been spoiled and some of the cards that are, going to be spoiled or have been spoiled. So we'll talk a little bit about that and a topic a little bit later. But it is an interesting thing that we could see. We could definitely get some support for the old Decimator Dory, which I think would be pretty hilarious. But I believe that takes us even further down the rabbit hole of 2023 into our third topic, which is a good one. What is your best new card of 2023? So let's keep this one to 2023 and a card that was new, printed from one of the 3 sets this year. It could be this card that I've posted over here. Could be any card. You tell me what your favorite card from 2023 was, and then maybe we'll do maybe your least favorite card, as in like the card you don't like to see played against you. But we'll start with favorite card of 2023. Breezy, take it away for this one.
It's this one. It's Tome of Imperial Flame. My gut instinct was like Codex of Frailty, obviously. And then I was like, we're Emperor gamers, so we play Tome of Imperial Flame. It's so good. It's so good. I hate that Dromai can play it because it just makes her even better. Even though at heart, like somewhere in a crevice of my heart, I still play Dromai. I just haven't done it in a while. Emperor really loves this card. It's so fun. I love getting greedy just because I have this card. I'll take like 12 damage just to play this card.
Yes, I did that today and lost a game, and
Yeah.
I don't recommend it, but I also don't regret it because this card is so good. It's so
Exactly.
good.
It's one of those cards that just you're like, I want to play it just to see what happens. It's probably not the best idea, but let's see what's happening here. It's got
I've done that
casino feel.
so many times. Oh my! It's such a casino feel. It's Starvo built into a card, is what that is right there.
Yep.
I can't not agree with you on that front. But TCG Talk, what is your favorite card of 2023?
So mine's gonna be completely left field. It makes 0 sense. It's not a competitive answer. It's a fun answer. My favorite is Moonshot, and it's not even played.
Wow.
Moonshot from Bright Lights is like one of my favorite artworks ever on a card. And the second I saw that card revealed, like that's where I thought everybody was gonna take Max, like these crazy pop off 10 overpower Moonshot plays. Which obviously is not like the main way you do it. But yeah, Moonshot for me was my favorite card from an art perspective. That card foil looks so good. If I wasn't doing like just complete bias favorite card, it would probably be Codex of Frailty. When I heard you when you asked us like best card, like that card, if we're talking completely competitive, that card is the best card of 2023. It's the most overrated card insane. I'm still surprised it's legal. So yeah, that card's competitively Codex Frailty, but complete bias. Moonshot was actually my favorite card of 2023.
I gotta give you an extra point just for going complete left field, because that's a really cool call. And I would say I was trying to pull it up and put it on the screen, but it would take a lot of
I should have told you ahead of time.
Dude, such a good one though. Holy crap. What a great card pick. Okay, what is the card you least enjoyed having resolved against you on the year, sitting down to a game or playing on Talishar? What did you least like? It could be an equipment. New Jersey Dama says, I'm biased. Scowling Fleshbag is the best card of 2023. I had to play against a Scowling Fleshbag today. It wasn't very fun. But it was,
you can argue it.
It's like a really good thing. Could be Yellow Throttle. No, that doesn't make any sense. Apparently, Warmonger's Diplomacy is an option, but I don't think anyone would pick that. Everyone loves that card. TCG Talk, start us off. What's the least favorite card to have resolved against you this year?
The card on that screen. No, Tome Imperial Flame for me. That card, like, it's not even I'm not even Dromai. That card single-handedly took the Katsu Dromai matchup, and if you ask any like really good Ninja player, they keep saying like it's favored. It's no longer favored. That card right there took the Ninja Dromai matchup from a cakewalk to 50-50. And on top of that, Dromai hasn't like ran away with the format by any means, but that card alone completely unlocked Dromai's deck. She now could run 60 reds and not feel it at all. pretty much, except for like some random hands. But yeah, that card was my least favorite. It's basically her 3 of a kind. It allows her to just hold her hand and then go nuts, and pick up pace. So yeah, that card 100% was probably my least favorite card of 2023.
I will say this though. It is not nearly as good in Dromai as it is in Emperor, because Emperor has the capacity to just do so many nutty things with it.
So good.
Also, people say it's actually an Emperor card, just no one realized it until later. Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, like, you look at it, it's like this fits Dromai because, like, you know, it's Dromai, but it's definitely Emperor. All right, what do you got, Breezy?
So good. Yeah, going back, I think Voltaire sucks.
Oh my God, what a good! Oh, you got it 2 points for that.
Voltaire is just that's I don't know. I mean, it's not the card that's played that someone's resolving against me. I guess they're resolving it, but you know what I mean. It's just one of those cards, man. Tales of Aria was just so broken.
It's so good, man. It's so strong, so impressively strong.
So good. But if we're talking 2023 printed this year, definitely Warmongers, right? Like, it's a turn off your. I love Azalea. I haven't played Azalea in a long time. Dylan, you remember? I mean, back when we first met, I was playing Azalea, and you're like, I don't know how y'all are doing. Like, I don't know how y'all do this, dude. This is weird. And so, like, I love her. So to get Warmongered as Azalea or as Viscera, 2 of my like beloved heroes, it's a sad day just to say you don't get to play right now. You don't get to do the fun things you want to do with your hero.
Yeah, I feel that is a really solid answer. And if Voltaire was a choice, that would be a windmill slam dunk. I think for multiple people. I forgot to mention, my least favorite hero to play against this year probably was Lexi. It probably was Lexi, because it just felt like she was so powerful at her height that the deck almost piloted itself. And if you were taking, like, okay, I'm a deck, I'm just X deck, and I have the capacity to be flexible enough to try and pivot into fatigue, the deck still could just not fatigue if like the person that was playing, you know, Lexi just played really well. So for me, it was that one. Favorite card, gotta be Tome of Imperial Flame. Least favorite card to have played against me. Oh, that's a really tough one. Because Oasis. I have to pick something this year.
Oasis.
Oasis wasn't printed this year. The other one that came to mind was that stupid Amulet of Ice. Because I still remember having Amulet of Ice flashed against me when playing things like that. No, maybe it would be something like a Warmonger's Diplomacy as well. That one doesn't feel good. But what do you think, Dylan?
Least favorite card?
Yeah, played against you.
Least favorite? Well, other than Tome, I think it's hard because I've played more heroes than anywhere else, so it's really been like heroes than anything else. I guess the one card that really bothered me, but this is more of a biased one, was Starstruck. That was just another card that Bravo had that completely was just because it's not like crippling. Crippling you can get hit with, and you're like, okay, I'm just not going to block. I'm going to lose 2 cards, and as a Katsu, I can swing back for maybe 7, threatening Mass Draw or something. Starstruck really says you can't play the turn. That one was crazy, but no, all 3 sets that came out this year didn't have, like, guess there's a couple of cards that people have a lot of discussion about, but overall, most of the cards this year are pretty fair, and like Codex of Frailty didn't bother me much because I play the classes that use it, so it didn't kill me as much.
I agree with you though. I think the sets this year are far more balanced and fair, like you said, than maybe years past, just because they're doing a good job of throttling things down. And I think they're doing a good job of doing it universally. Even though there's a card like this one across the way, I think they're doing a solid job of throttling things down universally. So you don't get those feels bad, perhaps, that you may have previous sets from just very powerful swing cards, things like Awakening and just, you know, crazy cards like that. But that takes us through the favorite cards. We had the favorite best sets. We had the best heroes. Now we're going to get a little bit more kind of into the nitty gritty. And this is where things might get a little hot for the viewers. See if there's people that have some strong opinions. But we're going to talk about best player of 2023. Now, 2023 was a year we had a Pro Tour. We had a ton of Battle Hardens. We had a couple of callings. And, of course, we had the World championship, which was won by Alexandros there on screen. But my question to you is, in kind of bringing all of that in, is there a player that stands out to you? Is it the world champion? Is it Alexandros? Is it, Michael Fang, who picked up the win at the Pro Tour this year? Is it someone that was more consistent at a bunch of events? Or where is your head within this sort of best player this year talk? It doesn't necessarily have to mean best player in the game of all time, but just maybe on this year. What are your thoughts, Dylan?
This one's hard. Like I had to sit and think about it because there's so many. So like I won't go with the obvious one. We'll talk about that a little bit. So there's two players for me that I really enjoyed watching at a top level event, at a top level or top table. One was Yuki Lee Bender. She's already really, really good, and she already kind of had a reputation coming in this year, obviously. But to get to see her, like, because she was the original Lexi before Lexi was good, right? And so seeing her finally get to like shine on a really good hero, and then like she did well at the end of the year on Bolton at the Brawl and stuff. Watching her play is like a really big joy to me. At least I learn a lot. There's certain players, and it's funny, they're usually Ranger players like Yuki Lee Bender and like Levi Rauch, who like they don't approach the game like Michael Hamilton or Michael Fang does from a math perspective. It's like a feel thing. Like there's certain, like I play music a lot, and you have some musicians that are really good with theory and like can know stuff, but there's some musicians that just feel everything, and both of those players feel like feel players. Like yes, they get the math, but they're really good at that. So Yuki is one for me, and then this one doesn't count towards like the point side of the answer, but I liked putting Tom watching them play Katsu in Worlds. It was really fun getting fifth at Worlds, and then also getting fifth with Ira at a Battle Harden. So from a Ninja perspective, it was cool to see Katsu like really break into like a major top 8. But yeah, I guess my official answer is Yuki Lee Bender is probably my favorite or best player of 2023.
Parker, what do you have for this one? What is your take?
This was also hard. I mean, this was a good year for games. I mean, just watching competitive play from the comfort of my couch, because I wasn't good enough to be there, was a great one. So because of that, I had to really dig in the vault here. This might be the obvious answer that Dylan was trying to avoid. I'm gonna say Brody. I'm gonna say Brody. I'm gonna say Brody. I'm gonna say Brody Spurlock. And there's a reason. There's like zero bias I try to tie to this, and the reasoning behind it is he embodies the mission statement that LSS has been pushing, which is to play the game and see the world. And he is literally showing that this is the bar that is being set if you want to compete at that echelon of competitive level. Like if you want to, and so that's why I'm saying he's the best player. I didn't say he converted every tournament he in. Damn near almost all of them he did. I like to think of him as like the Dromai of players. He's always in the top 8. He's always in the top 8, but he might not like take first place all the time. Which I was going through and I was like, who, and so he's got a ton of accolades. I mean, as is, but 2023, it seemed like he had this silent mission to just go to as many different places, and not just the States, although he is in those. Also, he's showing up in like, what did I put down here? He showed up like, I mean, Taipei, he was in Barcelona, he was all over. So literally for that reason alone, I think he's like the poster child of play the game, see the world. And for that reason, I think he gets that like gold star badge of saying he's kind of the best player of the game, the best ambassador of this game as well.
Both solid answers, but I don't know. The real answer might just be the world champion, right? I mean, when it comes to results oriented, like winning the biggest tournament and the biggest stage, that's kind of that's kind of one of the feathers on the cap. But both of you seem to lean towards the consistency angle. We had Yuki consistently performing at a variety of tournaments, and Brody also kind of consistently performing. But I like the angle that you took. It's not just about the winningest player. It's about what they do consistently, but also what they do to represent what this game kind of means, and what they do with their main hero, or when they pivot off of their hero. I think Yuki showed what it means to be a great player across the board, pivoting off of her keystone hero in Lexi, and then moving to Icelander for a time, and then moving on from there at the end of the year, Bolton. And then that's exactly what Brody Spurlock has done over and over again, because he just moves almost every tournament to a different hero, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, and then just continues to hit the top 8. And then bookending those big tournaments, a Battle Hardened at the beginning of the year, or excuse me, a Realm Brawl at the beginning of the year, winning that, and then ending it off on the Brawl, or the Realm Rumble, I should say, the 20K at the end of the year, was kind of a fun way to cap the year, is Brody Spurlock. I think both are super, super solid answers. But this is the one that I have a little fear and trepidation for, that we might cause a little stir, because now we're going to talk about what is the best region in the year, on the year, in Flesh and Blood. You could take this whichever way you want. It could be tournament results. It could be overall amount of player. Whatever you want to talk through, it's really up to you. But we're going to start with Parker on this one.
Oh man. 2023 best region. This, I mean, per capita, the United States seems like the easy answer, but even more so, like honing in like East Coast seems like the easy answer. But I'm gonna go Far East. I'm gonna say Hong Kong. Hong Kong is like, dude, they have just recently gotten the game. Their their representation and the way that they're able to just play the game at such a high level and just show that, hey, like, we don't have to have had this game for as long as everyone else. It does seem like the game was making its way through some various funnels, obviously overseas shipping. I've sold a lot of cards to folks in Asia myself, and so I love to see that they're getting support, official support from LSS. And I think that once the game has 2-3 years of solid roots in that region, I mean, I think we're all going to be, you know, really be given a run for our money, especially as they start doing the Brody Spurlock playing the game, seeing the world, coming to the States and start claiming our territory. Is going to be mean. It's going to be nasty. And so I think this year was just a show of force and saying, we're here, we're playing the game, and we're going to stay competitive.
Dylan, what do you think on this front?
Yeah, mine's APAC. Mine's APAC for a couple reasons. APAC to me, so if you ever, like, during a national season, APAC always has one or two nats where like something stupid happens. Like there's like 4 Reinars or there's like 3 Katsus or something like that. And when I first started playing the game, and in my opinion, I was like naive, it was like, oh, well, they just have a different meta, or, oh, well, it was probably just a small national, so like that's why that hero did well. Like when we saw Prism win that one event over there, and everybody was like, how did Prism win an event? Like there must have been nobody there. It's not that. And even like the Melbourne one, it's like, no, they just play the game they want to play the way they want to play it, and they do really well at it. They have their heroes they like. Like Reinhard is really popular over there from what I've heard. Katsu's a pretty popular deck. But the one thing that Flesh and Blood I want to see get better at, and this is kind of going into 2024, and if it doesn't, it's not going to hurt the game. But like I come from other card games, like I'll just name one's on my desk right now, like My Hero Academia, where like people play what they like playing, right? Like you play Midoriya, even if Midoriya is not the best deck, that's your deck, right? And we do have specialists in the game, but we don't have people that just like champion stuff. And I feel like APAC is the closest to that. Like they just play what they want to play. Like if you go look at the 9th place deck, Yuto's deck from Dory that at Worlds that barely missed top 8. Yeah. Go look at the 1-ofs in that deck and the 2-ofs in that deck. If you show that deck to any other like normal, like I'm just going to use the term meta slave US player, they're like, that doesn't make sense, or why would you put that in there? And no, they just play what they like to play, and they probably have good reasons for it. But yeah, for me, it's APAC best. Like when it comes to best, like player wise, like every region has amazing players. But APAC is like my most enjoyable. Every time you watch an APAC event, you know, like you're gonna get to watch like cool different stuff that also has like good level play. Like we saw Dash.io go undefeated at Melbourne. So stuff like that.
I'm surprised all of us actually agree on this, because I was saying APAC, though I will be honest with you. I think it was very close for me for EU actually. I actually thought EU kind of did surprisingly, well, not surprisingly well, just incredibly well. I think is the better way to say it, because EU's incredibly strong already, and has continued to kind of show that and show up and show out. And again, an EU player wins the world championship. So they are now tied for first place in world championships with the US, one apiece. I know it's like a big running count, but it was close. But I actually leaned APAC, so we all agreed on that, which I thought was kind of shocking, kind of surprising. So let me say this, because there's people in the chat that are asking, lightning round, best region in Wraith. Ready, set, go. Breezy,
what's coming? I was like, oh wait, we should do.
What's your favorite region in Wraith?
Don't bias these answers, because
I'm not. I know. I don't want to. I definitely don't want to.
You'll never guess my favorite. You'll never guess my favorite region.
I'm gonna say Volcor, and for two reasons. One, it's really close to the monastery, and two, because I think that's where Viscera is from originally.
That's actually accurate. That's lore accurate. It is very good for knowing your lore.
Yes. So, and also I mean, Kasai's, it's, you've got this like arid desert kind of wasteland, kind of Wild West, no man's land. I love that. I love that aesthetic. And I like that there's like this battle going on, but everyone's just like, yeah, Volcor's kind of like just this lawless place. We don't talk to them. They do what they do. They tinker in some weird stuff. We don't want to call them. I love that.
Ian at Right Time Gaming says see above. Clearly, he also agrees that Volcor is the best. That's what he's probably saying. What do you think, Dylan? What's your take?
So Mysteria would be my obvious one, but not just because of Flesh and Blood, but because I've always liked those style stuff. But if I don't do Mysteria, I really am excited to see when we finally do like Savage Lands, like a pure brute set. I really enjoy that.
I so agree. That is such a good point. We haven't had that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, because right now we haven't had Savage Lands, we haven't had Mysteria or Demonastery. Those are like the three biggest ones as far as the big regions. But yeah, Mysteria for me is the biggest one. But more specifically, like I can't wait till they expand on. I hope they expand on the lore like that we originally got when the game started with like the Crimson Haze and like all the different clans and like the different arts and stuff. Like there was so much built out lore in that ninja aspect that I'm really excited. Like how one of the grandmasters is like a defensive specialist ninja, so seeing like the class flip on its head doing stuff like that. So that would be probably my main one. But after Mysteria, it's probably Savage Lands.
Okay, bonus point if either of you can actually guess my favorite region. Dylan, go first.
I think your favorite region is Metrics.
Okay, go Breezy.
Oh God!
If it's not Metrics, it's Aria.
Yeah, I was going Aria or Volcor, but I'm gonna say Aria. I am gonna say Aria. I think Volcor's too on the nose for you.
Neither of you got it. It's the ocean around it, because piracy, people. Come on. Everyone knows we're getting an ocean set. Rising Tides 2024. It's the last set of the year. That's the one. Everybody mark your calendars. We're going to get it. We're going to finally get our pirates so that we can get pirates in 2024. It's clearly the water. And there's a lot of water, let's be honest. There's so much freaking water in the game.
Is the Earth flat, or is Wraith flat? Is that world flat?
That's a great question. I don't think so. Actually, I think within the lore, it actually states that there's more to the side of Wraith as well that we don't know. Like there's more to the continent, which would be really cool if we ever got to explore DLC. That. But dude, there's a ton. I think James White has even said there's a ton of there's a ton of water around, and there's got to be stuff out there. He was literally he must have said that directly to my face. Like he was trying to speak to my soul on that front. Or maybe he's just teasing me. Either way, I don't like it because it hasn't existed yet. It's not a thing yet, and that makes me a little sad. But we are going to move on to our final topic, and this one's a little bit more freeform. So I'm not sure how the points are going to work, but it's going to be a little bit more freeform. We're going to talk about the heavy hitters heroes that we've seen thus far. So let's jump in with each of the heroes. We'll go kind of backwards order that we've seen them in. So starting with the most recent, KO, Armed and Dangerous. I want to know kind of what your overall like takes are when you first saw KO returning to the sort of the game of Flesh and Blood, but also entering into the arena. What was your first take? And then where do you sit now? Let's kick things off this time with Breezy.
I loved KO's goofy Crucible of War hero ability because I mean it was goofy on the surface, but sometimes you get hit in the face for like 19, and so it wasn't so goofy at that point. So I love that they reimagined him to be taken seriously and that we've seen him grow up. So when I first look at this card, I'm looking at the artwork. Holy crap, he's huge. He's not like this like teenage kind of 18, 19-year-old, menace. He's seen some things. And then obviously he's one-armed, so you kind of want to immediately dive into like what happened, how did this happen, what baggage comes from this, what are some of the things that are going to tie in from his lore into the cards and the mechanics. I can't wait to see how they play that. I know people are like, he's gonna have an arm as a weapon. I hope so. That'd be awesome.
Would be awesome.
But so then as far as like hero ability, I felt a little lackluster emotion when I first saw it because I was expecting this big high roller gamble that we saw in Crucible of War. But then I started to mature and like simmer on it, and I said, okay, this makes sense. Fab 2.0, that mentality moving forward. They can't do that. They have to have something a little bit more viable, a little bit more, cultured to him as an adult. So this feels really cool. I love that he gets a might, so he kind of gets that +1 on next attack. Really incentivizes the go wide, or maybe you bank the might for next turn. And then the the fact that all your 5s are 6s in your banish or in your graveyard is insane. Or I guess in any zone really.
Yep.
Which is really cool. Really opens up the flexibility. I started instantly thinking of like, oh, what if there's cards that ask if there's a 6 in your pitch zone, similar to other cards that like, yeah, is there a yellow in your pitch zone? So you can do anything with your zones, and I really really love that. So I can't wait to see how this grows and evolves.
Yeah, I totally agree. Dylan, what do you think? You've messed around with KO already.
Yeah, he's interesting. So like just like as a fan, like I love that they gave Brute all blue 6s without giving them all blue 6s. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
It's like the most Brian Gottlieb way of answering someone's prayer. It's hilarious. But no, I really enjoy that they're taking Brute in a different way, like pure Brute, because Intimidate was probably one of the hardest mechanics to design around, because if you make that mechanic too powerful, then it becomes horrible for the game because you remove the one thing that's good about Flesh and Blood, which is the ability to interact. So it's really gonna be fun to see where he does. The one thing I'm excited about with KO and with all the heroes in this set is what I've heard twice now publicly is this is going to be the most weapons and equipment that's ever been released in a set. And like, we haven't seen any of that yet. Right. So we see all these heroes that like have these unique abilities like Betsy, which we'll talk about in KO. But like, what if KO gets a new claw that actually like has beat chest built in, right? Where you can discard and create a might and then attack for 4 or something, or 5. Who knows? But I think this is like a start for New Brute. I think this is a hero that you'll come back to in like 2-3 sets, 3-4 sets. It's just going to get more powerful because every time they print anything that's a 5 power and above, like it's going to be relevant for this hero if it can play it. So
I totally agree. I will say that
Bingo's an option.
I'm a little sad that he doesn't have the built-in sort of die rolling that his original version had. But then I went to the armory here locally last night, and Jeremy, who's one of the moderators in the DM Armada Discord, round 1 absolutely murdered me with KO because he decided to roll 2 5s back to back with stupid swing big and some other crap. And so at the same time, maybe I'm not so sad to see him lose the die roll double your attack. And kind of be more pedestrian in that respect. Because, it literally high rolled out of the game, which was kind of cool and also felt not great, but but it happened and he crushed me. So
I have like a quick spec on the lore here while we have a second, because the last time we saw KO was ready to roll his specialization in Everfest.
Yep.
And he was fighting a giant dragon beast
like
thing.
Centipede thing.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. That was the last time we saw him. In that fight, he lost an arm, and then down on his luck, he found himself. Look, he's got both arms.
In fact,
So
it's
down on
featuring the left arm.
it's only really showing the left arm here.
Yeah,
So I
that's
really and then this card is very dice rolly. So I don't think we're gonna see the end of the dice roll that we've all grown to love about KO.
I hope not. It's just like moments before disaster is what we're
Right.
seeing. There he is in chat, Jeremy, who absolutely crushed. He crushed everybody actually yesterday via KO. He just rolled hot.
Wow.
All right, going back here. We've talked about KO. Let's talk about. We got to talk about Olympia. If we're going backwards, we got to
Nice.
jump over here to Olympia and discuss Olympia. Olympia, the new warrior hero. What are your takes on Olympia, Dylan?
My first guess, and some people have talked about this, and I'd really think it's going to be. I think Olympia is going to be a Decimator build. Olympia's resource curve, I am pretty sure, is going to be around blue cards. That's where his spec is, and I think that's just what he's going to be doing. I think he's going to have a mix of attacks, and then you put Decimator on the weapon, and then tell people like, you don't like to block this, but you have to, or else you just give me gold. For him, we got to look at these heroes because like there's 6 heroes in this set, but it's also a draftable set, right? So are these heroes like more suited for drafting competitive, like not LSS's intent, but like in the current meta? I think Olympia is really kind of the biggest wait and see hero because we haven't seen any gold payoff. Like the only gold payoff we know of is cash in. I mean, you have Kasai's spec, but that's it. So until we see what gold payoff is, Olympia might just be like a value based engine, that pitches a lot of blue cards. But I like that the text is simple. It makes it easier. Like trying to explain to somebody how to play Uziri is a lot harder as opposed to like Olympia. Like Olympia is a perfect starter hero, right? Like all you gotta do is tell them how gold works. So I'm really excited to see what happens with this. I think also it shows that it's gonna be really interesting to see if we have pure warrior attack action cards. I think that might be a possibility in the set too. We just haven't seen it yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
But either way, it's a cool expansion on warrior because warrior, in my opinion, was kind of the most bland of all the classes because it's just the standard class. And I think that this is kind of a cool new set to try to implement some new stuff in the warrior. So I'm excited to see what Olympia does.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think this is a great, well, on paper right now, from what we know, this seems like a great hero to introduce someone to the game with. It encourages you to play into the effect a bit, or perhaps even more, depending on the support cards. It gives them a token, which feels really good. And then they can just go out and kind of explore how you can build this. And the nice thing about all of these heroes is that they all thus far seem to be very flexible in how you can build them. Their abilities aren't pigeonholing them into just doing this thing. I have to do the thing to play this hero. You can, and I think the best thing in Flesh and Blood is when you have a hero that enables you to build the deck 3 different ways, right? And I think all of these heroes to this point, and Olympia perhaps going forward, has the capacity to be built in a bunch of different ways. What is your take on it, Breezy?
I have a theory. I've got my tinfoil hat on for. It's the second I saw Olympia. Obviously, like Dylan mentioned, we don't really have a ton of gold payoff. So his entire persona is built around being this prized fighter. He is the champion of the death match. Look at him. I mean, he's decked out in all the most esteemed gear. He's not round like scrungy like KO. He's got his things figured out. So he cares about gold, right? So instantly I was thinking this reminds me of Assassin and their desire for silver and how they can buy their equipment back. So I have a theory that this guy will be buying equipment back, and not necessarily equipment, but maybe weapons. You can sideboard a weapon and you can buy like you're in the middle of a fight, you break an axe and you run over and you buy another big shield and another like one-handed axe or something to keep the fight going. I think there would be a ton of possibilities, and also it forces people into like, how do I tighten up my sideboard? So that's what I would love to see, aside from just cards in deck payoff for gold. How can I incentivize my inventory, as they've begun calling it now, to buy some equipment, buy some new boots back, or do interesting things mid game, as opposed to starting the game with one set, finishing the game with one set. So we've already seen that kind of mechanic play out in Assassin. I think they're gonna I don't think they're gonna throw it away, and I don't think they're gonna leave it solely for assassin either. I'd love to see it for this.
I got to give you an extra point too, because they've actually implemented this type of thing already in Taylor. Taylor can swap around her equipment from her inventory. And so if they can do it with Taylor, which is a very much a UPF only hero, why not introduce that in a kind of its own twist with Olympia? That is a really cool idea. I had not thought of that at all, but that could be a really fun way to build in some new stuff. Now, could it function in limited? That would be really interesting to find out and see if you had that capacity, you know, in some way, shape, or form. But it could just be built in or baked into the equipment themselves or the weapons themselves. So that's a cool idea. I like that a lot. Let's talk about Betsy, skin in the game, divisive hero. I will say that because there are some people that looked at this and they said, "Well, this is literally just a worse Bravo," and then there were some people that were like, "No, this is awesome," and I actually agree. I think it's awesome. But what do you think, Breezy?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you just look at the symbols, right? It's like, oh, two monies. Overpower is the different word for dominate. Yeah, no, I think overpower initially, like just obviously that's in bold, so that's where my eyes go, is saying, okay, cool, they're reworking, and this goes back to intimidate and how intimidate can really kind of make you have some feels bad moments where so can dominate. But overpower feels really cool where it's specifying action card, which really opens up, you know, and reward you for how you're building your deck and how you prepare to go into a match against a hero like this. So really cool. It's not just a, well, I guess I'll block with this card. It's, hey, maybe you can only block with one action card. That doesn't say defense reactions and things like that. So, but whenever you pay 2, you get the +1 on the attack is really cool. I think, you know, it has to stay on brand with Guardians. They're going to do big things for lots of monies. And I can't wait to see what I think that we're going to another chess piece. Tectonic plating has been giving us seismic surge tokens for a long time. I'd like to see them give us something else that incentivizes us to give like a pitch to reward kind of a thing that helps you do the thing, because she piggybacks off of wagers, right? So
Yeah.
I'd love to see some kind of equipment that also ties in with, hey, this wager hits, you get also this or this too. So she's a gambling lady. I love her.
I think it's cool. What do you think, Dylan?
This hero is better than Bravo. That's my opinion. This hero is better than Bravo. So like you if you ever heard, I'm sure you have, ARMADA, like with interviewing them, like Michael Hamilton and Michael Fang talk about like that the reason they love Bravo so much is just a math game. Like it's just better math. And they talk about the 2-card 8 or like 2-card 8 plays off tunic every 3 turns. But like this hero lets you do that every turn if you don't interact with them, because most of the time you're going to be creating vigor tokens, and most people forget the vigor token is just basically like one resource right at the start of your turn. And Guardian has so many 4-cost red attacks that will now be able to be played off of a blue if you're making vigor tokens. And then you have might tokens. So like, for example, like being able to play if you play bet big and you let it hit against a Betsy, well then their next turn they could play CNC for 7 off tunic. And then, you know, and then they're able to play cards like debilitate off of a blue and choke slam off of a blue. And so this is a hero that like will take like a turn or 2 to get going, but if you let them keep going, they're just going to start like hitting you with these insane turns. Or if they make 2 vigor tokens and they play spinal off of a blue, like it's just the value engine that she's going to be able to get for decks that don't want to interact with her, I think is going to be pretty nutty. And we haven't even seen all the card pool yet, right? Like that's just with the current Guardian cards.
That's a really good point.
And overpower, her ability gets around Warmonger's diplomacy. It gets around the action point issue. Like if you have one action off red in the ledger, there's so many. Overpower in some cases is what people are arguing is better than dominate in some cases, just because the ability to stun it is less than Bravo's ability. But we'll see. I think she's more flexible in Bravo. She doesn't quite hit as crazy as he does, and there's like really like wow moments. But I think her value engine is pretty nutty, just like on face if you're looking at her.
Yeah, I didn't think of her from a turn-to-turn value engine perspective. It almost reminds me of like turn-to-turn uninteracting, not interacting with Max, where they're continually like cranking and banking their hyperdrivers, and if you're not blocking the not blocking the wrench Banksy, then they're just getting extra value on those cranked hyperdrivers. That's a very good point, and that's a really good argument on why it could be technically better than Bravo, but time will tell. But she has a whole card pool to be revealed still and released, so there's a really good chance that she's got some tricks up her sleeve. And then it finally takes us back to Kasai. I don't think we've talked about Kasai on any of the other streams that we've done, but it's a great time to talk about her now. I will say this, it was absolutely hype when they played the reveal video for everyone that was watching at the sort of like the opening celebration of the World Championships, and then Kasai shows up. You heard the voice, and then you see Kasai pop on the screen, and everybody popped off. What are your feelings and opinions now that Kasai is getting a sort of a rework, a redesign, and an introduction into the classic constructed format? Dylan.
So I've been playing Kasai actually a lot. And then the group that I've been like testing and playing with, one of our players, Morty or Kyle's been playing her a lot, and she with the current card pool. Like he's been playing Dorinthia since the hero came out. Love is like a diehard Dorinthia, like I am Katsu, and he even says like with the current card pool, Kasai is better than Dorinthia, and her value is it's the same thing as Blitz. Like you never want to block her. If you do block her, your blocks suck. Blood on her hands is absolutely insane in this hero because he always gets like a 6 copper turn almost every time because he's running like 9 of Outland Skirmish. So she definitely will have like every warrior have a little bit of weird matchups for decks that can block really efficiently, but overall like her ability to, because nourishing is turned on several times a game with her ability because you're banishing cards and then your graveyard now no longer has an attack action, so you can hit with nourishing several times a game. You can even weave in like command and conquers. She's like the epitome, in my opinion, of what mid-range is going to be in Flesh and Blood, and she's really fun to play. And again, similar to Olympia, even though her text is a little bit confusing, I think she's a perfect hero for someone to start on. Like she's very similar to like an Ira style, where like you're just playing value game the whole time and then waiting for your big turns. Out of all the heroes revealed, she's the one I'm most excited to see competitively. I think she has a lot of cool stuff going for her, and I want to see like the rest of the set and see how that interacts with her.
Yeah. And yes, the new deck should run Blood on Her Hands if we don't get better cards, because Blood on Her Hands is very good with 2 Centauri Sabers, and you just make copper generators. Literally just play the Majestic from Crew. Literally just jam that down, and you're feeling good already. And then, you can run Outland Skirmish, definitely, to create even more coppers. And if they're blocking you, then you're happy, and if they're not, then so be it. Then you're making coppers and setting up for Blood on Her Hands. Breezy, what do you think about Kasai of the Golden Sand?
I mean, we love to see we love to see Kasai. People have been begging for Kasai. So obviously when it happened, it was this big momentous thing. They're listening to the players, they're listening to the fans. It's not something that they're, letting slip by. They have big plans for the heroes that they've introduced us just in small sprinklings. So it's amazing to see her. She's a AI. She's a Kasai, just like Viserai or Dromai. She's of my people. So initially when I saw her, I was like, yeah, bring it on. I love this. I played Kasai like non-stop when webcam games were a thing. I don't know if anyone's been playing long enough. I know we 3 have, but anyone in chat, if you remember webcam games, that was a thing. I pretty much solely played Kasai and Viserai and Azalea, I think. So to see her re-enter, I'm the most excited for her. I never really enjoyed Dorinthia or Bolton, not Warriors, like Dylan pointed out. It's always felt a little vanilla, but Kasai had this like, I don't know what it was. She had these play patterns that just felt so buttery. You never really felt like you had bad cards in hand. You never felt like you had to activate your equipment to get pitches off like Dorinthia does with Braveforge bracers and things like that. She has these extra resources that just kind of feels dead sometimes. Kasai, I hope that they carry this through and say, you have a full hand, you're rewarded with so many options. You can do all these different things. And again, Outland Skirmish, all the Everfest support, it just gets rejuvenated. The fact that they kept Centauri Sabers, they made an exception to the rule for Kasai just to say, hey, like, she can still have these weapons. We also could have been an oversight too, and not expecting Kasai to LL and take her weapons with her by the time the weapon was already printed as a token in the set. So it's good to see that they're willing to make certain exceptions for the way that the game's developing, and Kasai being kind of the poster child of that. I love it. I love this. I didn't even think about the nourishing emptiness thing. I think yeah, that's
Today I
that's a
had
huge
someone
hit.
today I had someone play High Striker Nourishing Emptiness on me, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What am I playing against?" But then at the same time, they made 6 copper turn 1, and I was like, "Okay, well, there's your blood on your hands."
Yeah.
So it's just fun stuff.
Yeah, and I'll admit, I think initially I was like, I didn't think Blood on Her Hands would matter for this deck, and I guess it
Yeah, I
is
didn't either.
to be determined
Hmm.
depending on if she has a gold on her hands. I guess maybe like
Yeah.
an amplified version. So we'll see. But as of today, with current card pool, I totally see her still loving that card.
Well, look, we need a tiebreaker. So let me ask you this: out of all the cards we've seen thus far, what is your standout card? And look, there's many on the screen, and both of you have a spoiler card that you could say.
We can't pick our spoiler.
Yeah, you can. You can pick your spoiler if you
No,
choose to.
You can.
But this is the tiebreaker final point getting round. What do you got? Breezy, start us off.
All right, pull up Money Where Your Mouth Is, because that's my card right there.
That's a fun card.
That's pretty good. Where is it? Right here.
Yeah. So this card right here, and again, it's a Viserai card because Royal Viserai does big money things. This is the biggest problem with Viserai playing as Royal Vis. You do the one gold thing, and then your 2 other cash-ins are just dead cards in your deck. Well, this card says run 3 of these. It activates your Viserai hero ability, gives +3 to your next attack, and gives me more gold so I can do cash-in things multiple times a game. Yeah, this really, I love it. I don't care about the 2 block. We're used to 2 blocks. We live with 2 blocks. We don't get blocked for 0. It really doesn't matter. So this card, I'm so excited for. I'm gonna be wagering with this card all day.
Holy
Yeah.
crap, what a perfect answer. Because not only did you pick something for like your favorite hero, but you also picked the offshoot like side deck Royal Viserai. God, I'm a sucker for that, man. Royal anything? You kidding me? Come on now. But
Yep.
Dylan, what is your favorite thus far? What has really stuck out to you? Is it your spoiler card?
No, it's not a spoiler card. No, the one that's actually stuck out for me, and it's one that when you read it, you don't realize what it actually means for the class, but it's crazy, is Up the Ante for Olympia. So one, like just talking about the card on face, it's the Olympia specialization, the pay X, it's blue. Yeah, so like you can pay 1 to wager one of those texts or pay 3 to do all 3, right? And then it gets plus X or plus Y, where Y is the number of times you wager. So if you pay 3 into this, you wager all 3 of those tokens, and it gets +3. But the cool thing about it is it says target attack. It doesn't say target warrior attack. It doesn't say target weapon. You could do this on anything. You could do this on Snatch if you wanted to, right? Like, granted, that's a crazy
CNC.
one. Yeah, CNC, right? You can do CNC for 9, make 3 tokens, like, and so there's a couple cards I think that have been revealed like this where it just says target attack, right? Like I think Take the Upper Hand says target attack.
It does,
so
yeah.
allowing, and they have to because they're mixing attack action cards into warrior. So I am super excited to see that. I'm excited, and I think that's what warrior needs to be a little bit more like spicy. I agree. That card for me is probably my favorite so far.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. And this, I think this is one of those cards that you look at and you go, yeah, it does a thing. But when you actually realize that it's variable, that you can pitch into it, and if you pitch a blue into this, which is expensive because you're playing a blue and you're pitching a blue, but if you're doing that on any attack, you're getting so much value, because not only are you getting what this card does, but you're also getting the value off of Olympia, because you're most likely winning this. That's why you played the attack reaction. And you're creating a gold token off of that. And if you play this on top of any attack that has a wager, like let's see, where's a wager card that we can actually play, a functional wager card? Here we go, Wage Agility.
Yeah.
Let's say you're slamming this down and you have just a blue heavy hand. You play Wage Agility. You're also winning the wager on this, which is quite good, and you're making a gold off the back plus all of those. And so, I think that's a solid pick as well. But it wasn't solid enough to get you 3 points, but that's because I'm a sucker for stupid side kind of decks, sideways decks, and royal decks. And that's gonna pick up enough points to take the win for Breezy at 47. I will I will die on a hill that I think that this game needs more like weird decks and weird archetypes, and Royal is just like, it's just near and dear to my heart. So
good.
Congratulations, Breezy, on picking up the win. You win
Thank you.
a lifetime supply of our friendship. Right, Dylan?
Wow.
We did have that before. You
That
just
right?
won that. After
Yeah,
all this
you
stuff.
have earned our
It was
respect.
it was on the fence until just now.
You've won our respect. Congratulations. Now you get to tell me the answer for this very important question as the person who won today. Here's the question I'm going to ask you. At what point should I take this Christmas tree down? When is the right time?
I'll give you until Tuesday the 2nd. I think that's fair.
Dylan, what's the right answer?
My answer is always January 1st, like after the New Year. The week after New Year's when you take it down. Because in my family, Christmas trees were synonymous with New Year's. So we waited until after New Year's.
That's why I gave you till the 2nd. I'll give you the 1st.
Both of you have the wrong answer. The right answer, the true right answer is you don't. You don't take your Christmas tree down. You just redecorate it for the season. That's
It's
the
definitely
right
easier
answer.
that way. Yeah.
That is just the right answer. Enjoyed today's give and take. If you did, let us know in a comment below or in chat here what you'd like us to do next, what you'd like us to talk about next, and maybe if you'd like us to bring a guest on to try and see if they can go toe-to-toe with these professionals of the hot take game. If they could take him down, let me know that as well. Tell us who you'd like to see in 2024, because I think we're just going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It'd be fun.
I put the
This is
time
it.
into the graphics. I made this logo in an hour or so.
And you put the blur effect on the give and take. I
Dude,
mean,
tens of minutes. This took tens of minutes. Like, I don't know how many multiples of 10, but certainly tens of minutes. I even put a topic ticker at the bottom. It's really
That's actually
crappy,
really
and I kind of hate it, but I'm going to maybe make it better next time. So if you enjoyed it, let us know and do the thing that YouTubers tell you to do. But that, as they say, is that. Goodbye, everybody. Everybody wave, smile and wave. Smile and wave. Goodbye.
see you next time.
Bye-bye.